5 to battalion 7. RA-005. What do you got up there, Steve? I'm still in one stairway, 74th floor, no smoke or fire problem. The walls are breached, so be careful. Yeah, 10-4, I saw that on 68. We're on 71, we're coming up behind you. 10-4, 6 more to go. Let me know when you see fire. Also on 75.
Yes, I'm checking the wires even as we speak. The Associated Press is reporting right now that the FBI in Washington is investigating reports that these two plane crashes are the result of foul play. There is a report here by the Associated Press of a possible plane hijacking. They don't say two, but they say a possible plane hijacking. Let's go to Kelly Arena, who's on the phone right now from Washington.
Our colleague, Jeff Green, well, we have a little more sound here from witnesses.
I went to fire alarm company. The doorman goes to me, wow, I never seen a plane flying so low. And we looked out at it, all of a sudden, boom, it seemed like it wasn't even real. And we came running over here, closer to the place, and all of a sudden we saw the other explosion. I don't know.
Can you tell me what happened? What'd you see?
I saw windows coming out of the building and the ceiling falling on the floor where I was walking. That's when we started heading for the exit. And
we got downstairs.
We got to the fourth floor from
all the way to the
32nd
lobby,
floor.
and all of a sudden there was this big explosion. I don't know if it's just like what you just seen. That's what we went through before we came out of the building. Then when we get out the building, then another smoke cloud came. We had to go up to that smoke cloud again. Mom, I just want you to know I'm all right. I don't know what else to tell you. We came from the 82nd floor, and I don't know where my peers are. I don't know. I hope to God they're okay. That's all I can say. I don't know what. We saw a shadow. It looked like a plane. Next thing we know, it was boom, and the floor started shaking.
Why are they pulling us out of here?
Because the lean tower is leaning.
The North Tower is leaning. Oh my God, there it goes!
Every time you said that, I keep thinking of how we are told time and time again by the Pentagon and by the State Department that they know something's going on.
I see they have a problem at the North Tower, Peter.
Let's look at the North Tower quickly.
To be coming down.
Oh my God.
The second tower.
It's hard to put it into words, and maybe one doesn't need to. Both trade towers, where thousands of people were, on this day, Tuesday, have now been attacked with thousands of people either in them or in the immediate area adjacent to them. There is simply no way to accurately describe the emotion this evokes in people all over the world, friends of the United States and enemies of the United States as well.
That came at the building, and the building had all glass windows. So as the debris was coming toward me over the tops of everything, the brightness of the sun was just completely blacked out, and it became almost like nighttime.
Pictures on the ground, or we were, of apparently some of the victims. He is on the ground.
Quite extraordinary. These are the emergency workers who are coming back. It was just about 10 minutes ago that we described to you the possibility of that North Tower collapsing. About 5 minutes after we went off the air, it did collapse.
In the aftermath of the collapse of the South Tower, dazed firefighters were trying to regroup and get to grips with the catastrophe they faced. All they could hear were the calls for help and the high-pitched personal alarms of injured firefighters going off all around them. Inside the stricken North Tower, Captain Jonas knew it was a race against time.
I knew what kind of danger we were in. Time wasn't on our side anymore, that we were going to be lucky if we got out of here alive. So I looked at my guys and I says, all right, guys, if that one can go, this one can go. It's time for us to get out of here.
September 12th, 24 hours since the terrorist attack on America. In New York, the desperate search for survivors goes on. But reality is quickly sinking in. How could anyone be alive in that burning pile, under tons of shattered concrete and twisted steel? It was now called Ground Zero, and CBS News correspondent Scott Pelley was there.
We got to get people out. I'm thinking, my God, members and civilians, let's dig like hell. But you really can't. You have to. They have a system, and you have to do it right because you can cause more damage than good. So we followed it. And we concentrated on areas they figured there would be people. I think they only came up with one person actually that day. That was a survivor. There were many. Wasn't many bodies, there were many pieces, body parts. I saw one or two whole bodies, but wasn't many. And just the debris fields is amazing. It's beyond anything I've ever seen like that. I've seen collapses and demolition buildings, but nothing like this. Was unbelievable. Like I said, there wasn't a door, there wasn't anything to be found. It was all disintegrated, all rubble. Concrete was small little pieces, not even slabs. no desk, no furniture, no computers, no phones, no anything. So I imagine the people were the same as the building, nothing left.
I had stepped out onto West Street, wondering what could have happened to cause this mess. The ash of the fire trucks twisted up like toys.
Trapped over here on the northwest corner. So I'll make sure that we got people over to help pick them out.
I was first there in late October 2002 was the first time. And they let us see a vehicle. They sent us around with the police department sort of chaperone. He escorted us around. He escorted us and wouldn't let us out of the vehicle. We couldn't take photographs. They told us if we took pictures, they'd take our cameras.
The other thing would probably be an NYPD radio car, marked unit that we had up here. It was brought up here. When they unloaded off the truck and it hit the ground, the lights came on, the radio came on, and it was so eerie because you know that the guy that bailed out of the car left his keys in the ignition with it running.
Over 4,000 photographs, over 54,000 pieces of personal property, things that belong to individuals, 54,000 pieces, and 1,358 vehicles, both civilian vehicles and department vehicles, were inspected and processed. They found many human remains in these vehicles. And for some people, the contents of the glove compartments was all that the families would have. So the vehicles were especially important. One of the FBI agents called them sponges, that they somehow collected these remains and parts of people and part of their belongings. And so they were especially important, and they searched them every day for 10 months. A number of the destroyed vehicles had belonged to the U.S. Secret Service, FBI, undercover police department detectives, and these were treated very differently. They were sorted in a secure area within Fresh Kills where many of the detectives weren't even allowed to be. In every car, there was evidence of a life.
Looking down there, it was hot. Everything, it wasn't steady, so you couldn't climb down there. But shining flashlights, I swear I found that, I saw that pair of bunker pants. And I think I saw 2 helmets. And I'm looking and I'm saying, where's the guy that's supposed to be in those pants? And I said, I didn't know. try to keep up hope. But, you know, you got an image of a pair of bunker pants hanging off a piece of rebar with no fireman in it. It's difficult to keep hope.
There's no water on it anyway.
Got there and there was literally nothing but paper, dust, steel. That's it. Nothing. There was no indication that anything had ever been in those buildings. Nothing. I mean, you didn't come across a computer, a file cabinet, a desk. There had to be thousands of bathrooms. Nothing. It was the nothingness just struck me that this isn't good.
It's so hard to even find bones now because they look just like the rocks.
What did you find? Anything since you've been here?
Yeah, found some bones and flesh, stuff like that.
Did you find any real bodies or just pieces?
Mostly pieces, but we've recovered a few bodies. Recovered a few. Now you get excited if you find the bone, believe it or not. It's like a big thing.
I walk out here and feel depressed, you know that?
It is.
I found the wheel of a chair. I was like, wow, a wheel of a chair. You know, I found something whole. You know, everything was so pulverized that it was just pretty depressing, you know?
It became apparent to me within the first couple of hours that, you know, there's nobody alive here. It was just too catastrophic, you know, it was just too big. You couldn't make out what you were looking at because everything was covered.
The terrorists who set out to destroy America failed miserably. In fact, after September 11th, the nation was more united than ever. Americans were proud and patriotic and anxious to let the rest of the world know.
Later in the day, an important symbol as the president defied the threat to national security to visit Ground Zero.
America today is on bended knee in prayer for the people whose lives were lost here, for the workers who work here, for the families who mourn.
One of the many legacies of the firemen of September 11th was the way death caused one to look back and assess the meaning of life itself. Due to the limited success of the recovery mission, the families of those firemen agonized over a drama that had no script.
Probably the worst thing I ever saw in my life. We never in a million years thought we were going to end up where we did. And what we saw, the devastation that we saw was just unbelievable. It just couldn't, you'd never be able to explain it to anybody. It was just terrible.
The president's movements now tightly guarded. The commander-in-chief very much on active duty. Every day, one step further down the road to war.
This nation is peaceful, but fierce when stirred to anger. This conflict was begun on the timing and terms of others. It will end in a way and at an hour of our choosing.
They weren't there. They weren't there, you know, to looking at the wedding bands. And looking at the wedding bands and hoping there was engraving and seeing the engraving, seeing all these tender little things that people wrote on there.